Hey, I'm Nick Filardi. I co-host with Jason Thielbar on the world's second finest podcast. Every week we talk about 90s Bat books, but we also talk comics, movies, books, TV, both new and old, that we love. What you're about to listen to is an unedited version of that conversation. This is the To Read pile. Jason, are you bringing anything to the To Read? I know. So a little behind the scenes, we usually record on Mondays. We recorded last week on Wednesday because I was slammed with work. So you've only had like a handful of days to read something else, which is a little unfair, but
yeah.
Did you bring anything?
No. And as I said before the show, I have been reading, just not stuff I'll bring to the To Read, at least not right away. And also the NBA playoffs are on. So, that's kind of eating into my time too.
Sure. I, however, drug myself out of my whole of responsibilities and actually sat down and read a bunch of stuff. So up top, the thing that I loved, Upgra de Soul.
Gotta finish it still.
This is a book that is put out by Oni Press. It's from Ezra Clayton Daniels. Oh man, it's like a sci-fi slice of life that escalates into like a horror thing kind of at the end. It is about this couple. One of them is the father is he inherited an intellectual property from his father called Slain, and it is an allegory for black men and a way to put black men on the screen before you were able to, by making them quote unquote an alien kind of thing. But it's like, it's set in the 90s and it's like, there's black people on camera all the time. It's not the, 50s anymore. So it's kind of like losing its luster now. It hasn't been updated for the modern times. And then his wife is a scientist, and she's Latinx, and she's trying to work on this like imaging kind of like goggles machine that's like very sci-fi, that's supposed to like identify diseases just by looking at them, so you could like look at a person and see what's going on with them. And she can't get it to work, and she's feeling like she's at the end of her life, and they're both very old, and she's feeling like she's at the end of her life and she has nothing to show for it, no lasting impact on the world, despite a promising career in science. Like nothing really clicked. And he's feeling like, Slain isn't really getting popular the way it should be, even though he keeps making stuff. Like it doesn't really work as well, and the character needs an update, and he can't really figure it out. So they decide to do this process called Upgra de Soul, which is this cloning process where they take a little bit of you, they make a clone, and the clone they augment the clone to be smarter, faster, stronger, etc. So they go through this process, Upgra de Soul. And what happens is they make this clone, but it's not like a perfect human being. They call them a potato in the book, like potato-like, because they're like very short they look like an enlarged walking around kind of fetus almost. But they're very strong, very smart. And over the course of the book, they also, both like Hank is the husband and Henry is the clone. And both people have to be around each other. Otherwise they start getting headaches. So they can't leave each other. And they're kind of like stuck in this facility with like this small cast of characters. And the process leaves Hank and Molly very, very like, almost like takes a lot out of them. Like they come in as like healthy adults with a little bit of pudge, and then they're like, using a walker, and they're like emaciated at the end of it. So it has like a physical toll on them. And then it's like, and they want to do this because they feel like they're going to do, get a new lease on life like start again, like do all the things that they wanted to do, kind of thing. But what they don't realize is that they won't get to do any of this stuff. It's the clones that are going to get to do this stuff. And then the clones don't come out like normal people. So then it's like the facility's freaking out about what to do. The guy who made this process has a sister who has a bunch of disabilities, and he's hoping to like clone her and get her into a perfect body. But then like nobody asks her if she even wants this. Like it like just escalates, and it gets to a point where they're like, maybe we should put the clones down, or like, what happens if the clone and the host are apart for a long time. Jason, it's so good, and it explores like identity and what makes you in like a really interesting way. Very fun. And then kind of turns into a horror movie at the end.
Yeah, I really got to finish it. I actually bought the hardcover, this like special edition of it. Just like
nice.
I had never heard of it before, but I bought it last summer. I still have to finish it. I apologize that it to the artist that I haven't finished it. But it got ate up by the summer,
Sure. Sure.
But it is exactly my sweet spot of like weird sci-fi. Like inject any weird sci-fi into my veins. Like I don't even care if it like doesn't work, I just love that, like, because like science fiction as a genre to me is like it's it's so, well, you know what, fuck anybody who shits on a genre anyway, because like, but
sure, yeah,
like sci-fi is so perfect for that, and it's like that's what like all of it's about. And it's like it always makes me laugh whenever people are like, yeah, it's like a science fiction movie, but like it really makes you think. It's like, yeah, like the entirety
all
of the genre,
should
man.
Be that. Yeah. It's not good sci-fi.
Yeah, and
aliens shooting guns,
Yeah, exactly. And and you're right. Like the questions it brings about identity and about what makes like a person, and also like what makes like somebody's right to have like a certain thing. Like something I do remember from what I read of it is when they meet their counterparts and they're asking them like, well, wait a minute, are you my husband? And he was like,
right,
kinda, I feel like it, but I also feel like this different person. And like it brings into that question of like, okay, we made this like genetic copy ish,
right,
and it has like memories sort of, but it's still literally this separate physical thing. And so what makes a person a person? It's that whole question of I think other sci-fi stories have brought this up, but it's like, the idea of if you can just straight download your brain into a robot body, are you still you? Are you still a human being? Because it's like, what as I heard it described once as like somebody loses an arm and they get a prosthetic arm. Okay, they lose another arm and they get another prosthetic arm. Like, are they somehow less of a person? Do we consider them less of a person? When does it stop? Where's the line, of your personhood? Like that kind of shit is just, oh God, it gets me so excited, which is why I'm so fun at parties,
You should finish Upgrade Soul. It explores all these ideas really well. I feel like it asks a lot of questions of the reader, but doesn't necessarily preach at them. Like it doesn't tell you the answer. It's just like, hey, consider this for a second. And you're just like, oh my God, I didn't think about that. And then they're like, oh yeah, think about this too. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't think about that. But I loved it. The art is also really, really great. The art is really, really great. I noticed Ben Passmore had a credit with color help. So I think that Ezra was reaching out to some people to help him put this thing together. And I don't know exactly who did what. But yeah, Ben Passmore's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Love Ben Passmore.
I just want to also, if you haven't been convinced by this so far, you just run down the inside cover. Winner of the Dwayne McDuffie Award for Diversity in Comics, Publishers Weekly Best Books of 2018, Pastel Magazine's #1 graphic novel of 2018, Library Journal Best Books of 2018, Vulture's Top 10 Graphic Novels of 2018, Tor.com Best Comics of 2018, Amazon Best Book of 2018, Comics Beat Best Comics of 2018, nominated for 2019 Eisner Award for Best Graphic Album, winner of the Dinky Award for Diversity in Comics, nominated for 2019 Harvey Award for Book of the Year, nominated for 2019 Ignatz Award for Outstanding Artist and Outstanding Graphic Novel, nominated for the 2019 Bringo Award for Best Artist and Best Original Graphic Novel. So the critics have spoken, and I guess that's also, and two drunk idiots have spoken too, that like this book is very good.
Yeah, and the edition that I have has an introduction by writer-director Darren Aronofsky.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
You know,
so
which he's
pick this book up. Like it's real weird, but it's real good.
Hell yeah. I agree. I gotta finish that. I'll finish that.
In addition to that, I also went to the comic shop and bought a bunch of stuff. I texted you the pile that I had got. I also put it on the socials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I like to be like, yeah, I like to be like, hey, I bought a bunch of comics. Here's what I like. You know, I like putting that vibe out there.
Yeah.
I read the 3rd volume of Dandadan, which we've talked about before, which is about the girl who gets attacked by aliens who thinks that supernatural stuff exists, but aliens don't. And the boy who gets attacked by supernatural stuff who thinks that aliens exist, but not supernatural stuff doesn't. Very good.
Man, is that Viz? Is that?
Yeah, it's Viz. It's Viz, and it's a Shonen Jump book. All right. It's so good, Jason. It's so funny.
This is now pushing me to like, because there's a lot of stuff that I think Viz publishes, like more current manga that I've been meaning to check out, and I might just have to get like their digital thing at least. To, like,
the Shonen Jump app
few volumes of some stuff.
Definitely worth it. If you sign to so there's only 3 trades out of Dandadan. If you sign into the Shonen Jump app, there's way more available in English on there right now. I'm waiting patiently for it to come out in paper. With this edition, they kind of added a like love triangle between these teens that are also definitely not in love, but they're teens and they're horned up, but they're not in love, but they're trying to navigate these waters as they're also like trying to recover this guy's testicles that spirits have stolen. It's dude, it's I'm so sold. Fucking good.
I don't know how anybody else could not be sold.
Upgrade Soul was a meal. It asks the reader some questions. Dandadan will not ask you any questions, but it will be fucking entertaining. Like it's just fantastic action, like really fun character moments. Just very enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not all awards and existentialism here, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I figured I know that Stephanie Brown, we've talked about this before on the show. Stephanie Brown is going to become a Robin at some point down the line. And I had vague memories of Stephanie Brown being spoiler in the Bat family in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So I read her origin. The numbers off the top of my head, I can't remember. It's Detective Comics, but Matt Wagner did 3 amazing covers for her origin arc. So I was like, you know what? I'm hooked in. So let me tell you about the spoiler story I read, Jason. It's by Chuck Dixon. And it made me realize something, because we were talking about Alan Grant we were talking about how he made Anarchy and how he brought Anarchy to the Batman Adventures in the previous pod that we did. So we have an idea of like what DC is doing is starting to like shape in my brain of like, you have these creators and they're doing stuff and they have their like pet creations that they're like championing. Like they're like, I love this character. I'm going to inject them into as much of whatever I can, you know? So Chuck Dixon made Stephanie Brown, spoiler. She is the daughter of Clue Master, which is a Robin villain who like leaves clues behind. It's very silly. It's very Riddler, but not, you know?
He's Junior Riddler.
So the arc is Clue Master goes to Arkham and then he comes out and he's ready to pull some heists again, but he got enough therapy that he's not leaving clues behind anymore. Like he hasn't turned over a new leaf, but he's no longer leaving clues behind. So his
great way to not get caught.
Great way to not get caught. So his daughter starts to just leave clues behind, sending them to the police, painting them on buildings, and her name is Spoiler, which I think is fantastic.
That's great. I have to little.
Yeah. So Chuck Dixon is also writing Robin at the time, and so Spoiler's first appearance was in Detective Comics, but Spoiler becomes like a semi-regular in Robin a little bit. I was looking at like her appearance list, and I think I'm going to try to get current on. I'm going to bounce around in the Robin issues to try to read all the Spoiler stuff and maybe skip some other Robin stuff. But this is the other thing that happened, Jason, while I was reading this. I clicked with Tim Drake. Finally, I'm on the Tim Drake train, and you know why?
Sure.
He's a fucking dork. Like he is like in this book, he's like trying to get, they don't know who Spoiler is yet. They just know that this is person on the rooftops. Batman don't know. So he's trying to like tail her and stuff like that. And then he's trying to like surveil the home of Stephanie Brown. He thinks it's Stephanie Brown. And he's just like skateboarding around with a backpack, and he's drawn just like a fucking dork. Like he's just a dork. And I say this as like a term of love. Like I want to just scoop him up and help him. You know, like it's do you ever see that episode of How I Met Your Mother that Katy Perry was on, where she was like so naive about everything that she would say something and they'd just be like, "Oh, honey." Like that's how I feel about Tim Drake. Like Tim figured out who Batman was, became Robin because he wanted this lifestyle. And now that he's in this lifestyle, he's like, "Oh, this was kind of a mistake. I'm actually a big dork. I should not be here."
Well, but he also has like the fighting talent of like a world-class MMA fighter, though.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. So I sent you this page from Spoiler's origin.
Oh. Yeah.
Tim Drake. So they bust up. The Clue Master's trying to do this heist where he's busting into a telethon. They're going to have a bunch of cash on hand, and he's going to helicopter it out of there. So Batman and Robin come in. Spoiler comes in, even though Batman's like, "I don't even know if you can fight. Like, don't follow us." You know, please, you're a child. Please don't follow us.
Yeah, I have one child that I'm going to be responsible for the death of one day. I don't want to make it two.
Right. So speaking of that, like Batman's chasing Clue Master, right? And then one of Clue Master's thugs, like, corners Robin, and there's shattered glass on the ground. And he grabs the thing of shattered glass, and he's on top of Robin. Now, Robin's a ninja. However, he is still a little boy. And this giant guy is like trying to jam this shard of glass into his fucking eye. And like Robin's like trying to like wiggle out of it, you know? And he can't. And Batman's gone. Like Batman's on the helicopter with Clue Master. The Gotham City Police Department then brutally guns down this dude who's trying to stab Robin to death on top of him. And then there's this great panel of Robin, Tim Drake, the GCPD guy with the assault rifle is like, "Hey, you okay?" And he's like, I guess," as he's looking straight down the barrel of the camera right at us. And I'm like, "Robin, this is a cry for help. This is 100% a cry for help."
Yeah, you should. It's 1995. He's into computers. It's like, dude, you should give this up and just like start like call up your old friends who you don't talk to anymore, and like let's just get a missed like LAN party going, man. Like,
yeah,
just,
right. Yeah, you don't want this life. You don't want this life, Robin.
like, yeah,
Oh man.
like.
So anyway, Killer
wow.
Covers by Matt Wagner. Pretty neat origin for Spoiler. I'm gonna read some more of her. There's some ebbs and flows when I was reading like about her appearances. She basically busts Robin's chops a lot in the Robin regular. Chuck Dixon's writing that, and he was writing Detective at the time. So this is kind of like Chuck Dixon's pet project is Spoiler.
I kind of
he considers
that's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, he considers Cluemaster to be a Robin villain, and then he considers Spoiler to be linked with Cluemaster. So, and like Robin has his own title now, so he's like, "Oh, well, this is a great place to just put Spoiler," you know?
Yeah. Well, I really like her whole bit too. You know, like I think that's really it's really fun, and it's pretty original. You know,
yeah.
Like
there's a great when Robin's like trying to chase her across rooftops. When they like spot her, he's like chasing her, and he doesn't know it's a her yet. Like they keep her kind of like shrouded in a cape in darkness, whatever. He tackles her on a rooftop, right? And pulls the mask off like immediately. And then it's a blonde girl, and Robin's just like, and then she hits him with a brick. And I was like, fuck yes.
Just
very good.
I do love the running gag in every Bat book of like, and it does happen with any Robin too, of like just being completely baffled by women. Like Batman and Robin, just as soon as there's like, I'm uncomfortable now. Can I hit things?
Yeah. So I'm going to read some more Spoiler stuff. Apparently there was a time. So Chuck Dixon's championing Spoiler to be in Robin and other books. And then once Chuck kind of like stops working at DC, he doesn't really stop, but he's like slows down. He's not writing like mainline Robin, whatever, you know. Spoiler doesn't get used a whole much because nobody's there like pushing for her, you know. And then she starts coming back under a couple other writers who start to bring her back because they recognize that she's a pretty cool character, and eventually becomes Robin. And I'm interested to read that when she becomes Robin in those circumstances. But to get there, I want to read all the other stuff too. So yeah, chipping away at that stuff.
Huh. I do like how Tim Drake just being a fucking nerd is what, like, you know, what hooked you. Like, you're just like
kindred spirits, man. Kindred spirits.
you know Tim Drake would have bought that Dragon Ball 3 Double Dragon 3
oh yeah
cartridge that you have like right away. He would have just scooped that up like no.
Yeah. So that's what I read this week. I was going to try to squeeze in something else, a couple other things, but we'll leave it for the next to read pile. And I'm excited about all that stuff.
And like you said, Upgrade de Soul, while like I still need to finish it, but it is very like, you know, it's a meal, you know, or like
it's a meal
New School
for sure.
How I was explaining, like it's New School is like a, you know, it's not like the text, it's just like everything. And I remember in Upgrade Soul too, I absolutely love the art so much. So I'm just like,
oh yeah,
I'm gonna stay with this page a little longer. You know?
Yeah. When I finished Upgrade Soul, I felt the same as when I finished Dandadan Ducks 1 Year in the Oil Sands by Kate Beaton.
Ooh. Yeah.
Where I was like, I read it and I got it, but I know I missed some things. I know I missed like a little bit of texture. And like, I kind of want to jump back in and reread it like immediately after. Like it's I have that same impulse with Upgrade de Soul.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. That's I'm gonna probably finish that tonight or tomorrow then. That's such a great recommendation. That's a
bring it to the 2 read. Yeah. I'll talk about it again, man.
All right. Maybe I will.
Jace, where can people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me still on the Twitter machine at King of Black Acid, and also at our official Twitter account at World's Second Finest. That's World's Second with the 2. I post about our new episodes that drop on Sundays, about the 2 read pile on Wednesdays, a couple other things here and there, trying to, let people know, come on over here and once Twitter finally burns down, we'll all be on Mastodon or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
It seems imminent. It seems imminent that it's burning down, but it's been seeming imminent like for months now. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh God, Twitter is capitalism. It's just going to be here in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you know what I did? Because I'm a genius. Just started posting these links into the show notes at episode 32, and we also did a holiday special and annual, and so we're 35 episodes in, and I just realized, oh shit, I should put that in the show notes.
Well, you can feel bad about that all you want, but you just mentioned that, and that's the first fucking thought I ever gave to it. So, I mean,
you can find me at linktree.com/Nickfil. Also, I'm in the Discord every day, all day, while I'm sitting in the chair working on comics. So you can chat with me there. Please join us.
Yeah, join them. Join us. Join all of us.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.